Hi everyone and welcome to your horoscope for the week of January 18th, 2021. This horoscope is brought to you by 1millionnights.com. We are in for one of the most shocking, surprising, and revolutionary in each sense of that word weeks of 2021, but I do think that this is going to be something most of us have not experienced yet in our lifetimes. Because the highlight of this week, and maybe even all of the year, is the Mars and Uranus conjunction taking place on the 20th of January in the sign of Taurus. Now, Mars and Uranus conjunction in itself is not that big deal. It happens once every 2 years. But the astrological configuration of how it happens and the conversation it holds with other planets, now that is something very unique. That is something basically which is about to shake the world in all of its aspects, politically, socially, economically, spiritually, psychologically, informationally, and possibly even physically, to its very core. Now, I have to be very honest with you. Before I actually sat down to record this horoscope, all throughout this week, I thought about this moment. What am I going to say? How am I going to present the events? Should I be studying past cycles, past Uranus-Mars conjunction in order to get a better picture? Or should I actually just simply close my eyes and see what my intuition tells me? And the reason I'm telling you this is that I do believe that this is the unforeseeable. I mean, no matter how experienced an astrologer or someone who uses predictions is, this is basically has the unknowable written all over it. Now, we can actually anticipate certain things and the likenesses of how this is going to play out. Also because all the other events on the world stage are already set and this is gonna detonate them. So that part of the big picture is kind of easy to tell, but where all of this is leading us, what kind of future is gonna be created after this event, now that part is under a shroud of divine mystery. And also, the day 20th of January is very important for more than one reasons, because very important historic events are scheduled on that day. A day when Mars meets Uranus in the sky, a day when Lilith, dark moon Lilith in the sign of Taurus, also conjuncts these two very intense and almost explosive electric astrological power players, and together they hold a square with all the Aquarius planets, as in Jupiter, Saturn, and by now the Sun also joined this conjunction in the sign of Aquarius. And just the day after, the Moon is also going to join Mars, Uranus, and Dark Moon Lilith in the sign of Taurus. So that means that the surprise, the shock is also going to be emotional and deeply felt on a soul level. Now, what does all of this mean in a more practical sense? Well, Saturn in Aquarius is basically all the rules, regulations, customs, legislation that basically holds society together, that makes society function. But you know, rules and regulations do give structure, do ground everything, but at the same time, they also hold limitations. And right now, the emphasis is without a shadow of doubt is placed on the limitations. The social distancing rules, all of the COVID situation and everything that results from it, the economic problems, the social problems, all of the controversy, and most importantly, Aquarius, among many other things, is the internet. It is freedom, free speech, expressing your opinion, contributing your own distinctive vision, perceptions to the collective. And that also meets a limitation, maybe censorship. And also Saturn is the ancient ruling planet of Aquarius. Now on the other hand, there is Uranus in Taurus. Uranus is freedom. Uranus is the new, the revolutionary. It is the future. It is innovation. It is quantum leap. It is all the new things that have to replace the old. It is actually breaking the rules. It is the power of the people. When I think about Uranus in this aspect of this great planet, well, I think about the French Revolution, freedom, equality, equity, one for all for one. And Uranus is the modern ruling planet of Aquarius. And basically this means that these two rulers of the same sign, the sign of freedom, the sign of the future, the sign of humanitarianism, are battling each other. So basically the old rules, regulations, principles, customs face the new, the revolutionary, innovation, and ultimate freedom, and also technological quantum leap and everything that Uranus involves. And if Mars joins this celestial conversation, Mars being the activator, Mars being energy, Mars being an astrological symbolism which basically activates every single planet or energy that it touches. It is urgent, it is immediate, it is manifestation. And together Mars and Uranus are the quickest energies of the zodiac, so whatever happens, it happens in an instant, in a blink of an eye. And also it is electric, it is quantic, it is a huge explosion of energy. So from a social perspective, it is obvious that it's gonna be protests, it's gonna be some kind of revolution, it is going to be the power of the people, it is going to be a cry out, a demand, and actually maybe a legal battle for freedom, freedom of speech, equal rights, equity, humanitarianism, each and every individual to be able to decide for themselves how they want to live, what they want to believe in, what they want to focus on, what freedom and social life and being part of society means for them personally. And with Mars, well, they are willing to fight for what they believe in. They're willing to fight for freedom, for their principles, their vision, their hopes and dreams for the future. And as things are already set up on the world stage, we already know that the United States is gonna be a major power player in all of this. Now Jupiter is also part of the square, and it is the planet of expansion. So it amplifies everything. And Jupiter is also inner truth, it is justice, it is belief, it is our worldview, especially in the sign of Aquarius. So it just expands the expression of all this energy. And if we just consider the Jupiter-Mars square, are you willing to fight for what you believe in? Are you willing to embody maximum courage and bravery for your beliefs, for your vision, for your hopes, for your future? And if we just take Uranus squaring Jupiter, well, this is really funny because it kind of means the future is here, like it or not, and even if all doors are closed, well, it comes as a battling ram. It cannot be stopped. It is here, it is happening, like it or not. Reality, normality, everything is changing here and now. And Uranus is our highest cerebral activities. So first of all, it changes in our minds, in our thoughts, on an intellectual level, on an awareness level. And on the 20th of January, and especially on the 21st, the sun being part of this conversation as well, the sun is the light. The sun illuminates all of this. So it means that our awareness, our creational energies are definitely going to be there. And last but not least, Dark Moon Lilith, especially in the sign of Taurus, it is about the senses. We want to be able to live our freedom physically. We want to sense it. We want to experience it. And if it is our senses that are limited or restricted, well, Dark Moon Lilith is extremely rageful. It will not tolerate that. She needs her freedom. She needs her rights. And she knows that she's down here in matter on Earth to experience everything in a very material and physical perspective as well, because otherwise it makes no sense to be alive, to be here materially. So all of this is a huge sense of urgency. This is like a karmic bomb detonating. This is where all this pressure has been built up, and now the pressure cooker is ready to explode. The volcano is erupting. And even though it is without a shadow of a doubt that some people are going to be violent, some people are gonna, go switch to crazy mode regardless, yet still, that is something that we must absolutely not focus on. And the reason why I'm telling this is that Saturn is also all of the lessons of the past. All of our wisdom, all of our diligence, all of our life experience. Everything and the way it used to play out, well, it was a valuable source of experience. So it doesn't have to repeat once more. And it goes hand in hand with the symbolism of Uranus. We have to do it a different way. And if the past showed us that violence and rage and, just mindlessly jumping into the fray and demanding rights by all costs, by all means necessary, leads to tragedies, it leads to suffering, it doesn't lead to equality and freedom and whatsoever, it just leads to sadness ultimately, then this gives us the chance to do things differently. We can replace physical violence with simply a legal battle, a democratic way of handling the situation, simply expressing our opinions, or in the worst case scenario, just to stop supporting that which doesn't resonate with us. If there is something that, an opinion that we do not share, or a vision, an ideal, a principle that goes against ours, we stop supporting it, we stop focusing on it, and we focus on that which matters the most. And this is the most, the most wisest expression of Uranus, because what you focus on is what you're creating, especially with Mars, the planet of focus, the planet of energy, the planet of willpower. If Mars is in this picture, well, we simply create what we focus on. So rather than conflicts, rather than fights and, challenging other people and trying to create true chaos, we should rather just focus on what is important for us and what we believe in. So I do advise everyone not to be violent. I know it's gonna be really difficult and challenging because Uranus is also anxiety with Mars. This is where it courses through our nervous system. We might not even have that much of a choice. But there is Jupiter. There is what we believe in. If we believe in peace, if we believe in our versions of reality, of whatever we want to create, it doesn't have to get down to violence. It doesn't have to get down to physical harm. Why hurt other people? Why destroy? Why cause harm to people, objects, or anything? That doesn't do anything except show the divine, show the universe that we're wild animals, unworthy to possess neither technology or superior intelligence. So let's just choose to be wiser and mind over matter. Even if physical reality doesn't give us any options to express our opinions, to get what we desire, well, science recently proved to us the quantum power of our brains physically. So this is measurable science. This isn't just sci-fi. It has been proven in so many studies. So let's just use that. Let's focus on what is important to us. And of course, chances are this doesn't go just for the United States. These uprisings are gonna be everywhere in many parts of the world. But as I said, we can choose violence and just prove that we are unworthy to possess intellect, basically. But we can also choose to do it in a peaceful, constructive, and, democratic manner. And also, Uranus is the planet of ultimate truth. It is the planet of revelation. So this also means that certain things, maybe secrets, maybe things hidden from our sights, maybe certain facts and figures are gonna see daylight, and they are gonna shock us, they are gonna catch us by surprise. And as I said, on the 21st, the moon joins this conversation. So emotionally, we're gonna be stirred up as well. But whatever is gonna be revealed, well, ultimately, it is in our highest good. Because we will behold the truth somehow. And the biggest mistake here would be to dwell on it. To hair split. To, allow 10 million thoughts to just take over you and create chaos in your mind. Especially because the North Node in Gemini, so the sign of the intellect, communication, the lower mind, the practicality of our intellects, is squaring Neptune, confusion, false truth, manipulation, etc. So even if whatever is going to be revealed is too much for us to process there and then, it is fine because we don't have to know everything. We're not like absolute truth seekers. We're human beings. So sometimes not knowing what to make of it, sometimes just accepting that right now I am confused and cannot make sense of it, cannot see where this is leading me. It is absolutely fine because we have the Jupiter there. Faith, trust, optimism. And minding your own business from a karmic and spiritual perspective. And also, regardless of what is going to take place around this time, so basically all of next week, regardless of how shocking it may seem, well, ultimately it is for the greater good. It is opening the gates of our collective futures. It is helping us. It is saving us. It is quantum leaping us into the future. It is deconstructing the old and allowing us to build up anew. For example, one of its expressions can very well be a major financial institution, a global one, so something that basically rules the world collapses, or it maybe implodes on itself. And that might be a very scary thought and a scary time for all of us, because it is going to have repercussions, but also, we're not living in the past. We are different. We are different people. Our society already works in a different way. We have so much technology and wisdom and everything that we need. So, the problem, the catastrophe may happen in a second, in an instant, but there is no reason why the solution cannot take place simultaneously. So just as quick as the problem comes, the solution can also be born and make everything okay in a second, in an instant. Because this celestial conversation is chaos. But chaos doesn't necessarily have to be just destructive. Like, think about it. Winning the lottery is chaos hazard. So many times chaos births new things. Many times chaos creates. Without chaos, there wouldn't be life on Earth. Without chaos, the sun would have never ignited into a star. Without chaos, some of humanity's greatest inventions, which started everything, the modern era, would not have been born. So no one says that it has to be doom and gloom. It can be something wonderful. Surprises can also be delightful. Surprises, shocks, can play out in the most positive way as well. So from a spiritual, or better said, quantum perspective, it is actually in our hands, or better said, in our minds. So Aquarius is people. It is the community. It is those many, many millions of individuals forming the whole. It is like every single drop of water in the ocean. If more than 50% of those people focus on something wonderful, on something benevolent, on something, creating something which serves the greater good, then this explosion of energies can actually bring forth the creative side of chaos and just deliver surprises and very, very many useful and benevolent things for all of us, especially that Uranus is in the sign of Taurus. So Taurus is material, physical, it is the earth, it is nature, and it is the home of Venus. So it is love, it is fertility, it is creation, it is values. So the birth of new values. And all of these squares, conversations of tension between these planets, well, it can be doom and gloom, yes, absolutely, if that is the way you choose to see it. But it can also be motivation, it can also be a eureka moment, or courage, or leap of faith. And when you choose to align yourself to the positive expression, well, it gets things done. It solves problems. It removes obstacles which otherwise would be nearly impossible. Because that is the essence of a crisis. To determine us to step into the new, into the future, to purify ourselves and preserve that newly found purity. So I choose to focus on the most beneficial and benevolent expression of this energy, especially that Jupiter is there, and Jupiter is the great benefic. Like, think about it, even in astronomical terms, so science, Jupiter protects our solar system, especially the inner planets, and especially Earth, because this is the planet which holds life, from so very many dangers like comets, meteors, etc. And has been doing so for millions of years. Without Jupiter, in physical reality, we might not even be here. So as long as Jupiter is in this astrological picture, everything can be okay, because it will protect us as long as we have faith in ourselves and in the greater good, because that is basically what Jupiter represents. But even if I'm sure that most astrologers and most people will choose to focus on the good things, on hope, faith, optimism, the symbolism of both Jupiter and Aquarius, and even Uranus in its own unique special way, we still have to admit that physically, purely physically speaking, whenever Mars and Uranus are this very active, and Uranus being in the sign of Taurus, as I said, the physical earth, the crust of the earth, this can conjure up, because of the electromagnetic forces, for example, and things which really don't depend on us, earthquakes or calamities or explosions, accidents, natural disasters, unusual weather phenomenon, volcanoes. But this is, like Mother Earth's, the planet's own relation with the universe. And also, no one says it has to be catastrophic for humankind, for people. For example, if it happens in a geographical location where there are no people, where nothing is really affected, or if it's just like a minor earthquake, something that is not really destructive, or if it happens, for example, in certain places where it's, part of people's everyday lives because they inhabit those regions where these phenomena are very usual, so they're prepared for it. So even this part doesn't have to be doom and gloom whatsoever. But there is a sign of warning. Mars and Uranus together like this can also spell danger and risk of accidents. But this isn't doom and gloom either, because if we uphold health and safety rules, if we are careful, if we are diligent, if we are really, really cautious in everything, when we drive, when we travel, when we work, when we do household chores, if next week all of us are gonna be just a little bit more diligent, a little bit more careful and mindful, we can avoid any kind of problem. Or even if we cannot, it doesn't have to be anything big. There is the safety helmet, there is the seat belt, there are so very many things which can save us. And at the same time, Taurus is also finances, values, and money. So next week is not really ideal to make huge investments, as in take massive financial risks, neither to take a massive loan or anything like that, because chaos can play out any way, in any shape or form. It can go either way. And also, now we have come to the point where we need to talk about the most positive expression of this energy, because as I said, chaos can go either way. Uranus with Mars is an incredible, ingenious energy. It is like the biggest eureka moment. It is breakthrough. It is that, for example, it can be that big offer that you have been waiting for all your life. It can very well be being at the right place at the right time where something wonderful happens, a breakthrough. It is really, really good for those people who do intellectual kind of work, because the mind will function, almost with a quantum configuration. It is like instant, spontaneous flashes of insight. The big idea, the big, let's say, business plan, the big invention can be born there and then. And also, Uranus is the planet of science. So I do imagine that one of the ways this energy is definitely going to be playing out is massive scientific breakthroughs. And when I say massive, it has to be like an earthquake in the field of science. So something extremely potent that might be a miracle solution, or might upgrade, because Uranus is also upgrade our lives in so very many positive ways. For those of us who are deeply spiritual, Uranus activated by Mars can be downloads. It can be like prophecy. It can be just knowing something without any possible way of knowing that, but still knowing it, if that makes sense. And whenever we have a Uranus and Mars aspect, and as I said, Uranus in the sign of Taurus, money and values, etc., it has every single chance to play out in the most ridiculously beneficial way, as long as you are ready to step out of your comfort zone. Like, let me just give you an example. It doesn't mean that this is how it's gonna play out, just for example purposes. Let's say you're an artist and you ran out of money and you really need it for something urgent, the squares, especially the Saturn square, imminent needs. And let's just say you have a flash of insight where you just want to laugh about this situation, turn it humorous, and you put up one of your old paintings which you don't even like for like 5,000 euros or a ridiculous sum, and surprise, surprise, someone buys it. This is one of the ways chaos can enter your life in the most unexpected ways. And you meet the fulfillment of Uranus because, it's crazy, it's impossible. And also Mars, that risk you take, it's not a real risk because, you just laugh about it. Nothing bad can happen, and it pays off. The impossible happens. Or let me just give you another example. You apply for a job which you almost know 1,000,000% you would never ever get it. You would never have that phone call to go to the interview, and you still apply because, why not? And you get not just the phone call, but you get the job. But also, as I said, Taurus is the home of Venus, so it could be sentimental, emotional things, maybe romantic stuff. You just go to the shop and you have a very anxious feeling that for some reason you don't want to go your usual path, you want to take a detour or the longer path or a shortcut or whatever, and you bump into the love of your life. But this energy can also play out emotionally as well. Let's say you're in an established bond and your partner has been late every single day for the past, let's say 3 months, and you're already starting to suspect, you're already anxious, you are 1,000,000% convinced that this has to be an affair, and suddenly and unexpectedly somehow you get access to their phones and you see a conversation them having with their best friend or whatever, that they've been doing overtime at work because they want to propose to you. Imagine the shock, the surprise, and that Saturn, the fear, the limitation being lifted off your shoulder. Imagine something negative instantly turning into the biggest joy. So the truth is truth. It doesn't have to be bad whatsoever. It can be the most delightful thing in the universe. And also regarding the bigger picture, Dark Moon Lilith is always perceived as the shadow, as something rather not so pleasant, especially in the sign of Taurus. It can be extremely selfish, but even that can have a very positive expression. For example, no matter who you are, no matter what your life choices are, no matter what your value system is, you are a living, breathing human being, and that gives you every right to live a decent life. And this could become like a ruling principle, leading to like a universal income for absolutely everyone. But speaking about all of this and advising you to be hopeful, optimistic, peaceful, to focus on your dreams and whatever you have in your heart is kind of easy to say but very hard to do, especially under Neptune squaring the North Node, because that is so many temptations coming in our lives in form of information, TV, media, opinions, conspiracies, controversial facts and figures, lies, deception, manipulation, etc. And under this energy, conspiracy theories and people who are really good at generating fear and causing panic are greatly empowered. But Neptune is also authentic spirituality and the communication with the source. So what I'm actually trying to say here is that, the source is omnipotent, it is infinite. And the fact that we are here right now alive is a living proof that it is benevolent. So even if there is like a cabal, world domination, all of those theories, and I'm not even saying that there is no truth in that, who knows? But yet no one can outsmart the universe, no one can outsmart the source of existence itself. Like those people who firmly believe that and are so attuned to that information, to the frequency, to all those facts and figures. For one reason or another, they might need that lesson. They actually might need to live in that world oppressed by the shadowy forces. But for those people who know that there is an existence outside of the world of matter, well, for them it won't matter as much because they're already safe. As long as your mind is your own, as long as your soul is your own, well, nothing really can get in your way, can it? If someone wanted to enslave us, they had so many chances by now. Let's think logically. If someone wanted to make us mindless zombies or, robots or whatever, they had trillions of chances until this present moment, especially before 2020, when the world was truly driven by greed and all of that. So why fear? Rather trust in your dreams, in the truth within your heart, who you are and why you were born in this timeline. And do not allow other people force their fears, their own inner truth upon you through social media and all the trillions of articles and videos and all of that. You believe what you want to believe, and ultimately believing is seeing, especially with this powerful Aquarian energy with Jupiter in it. And last but not least, I also want to mention another harmonious celestial conversation which can actually make us stay hopeful, stay in love, stay in the belief that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And this celestial conversation is Neptune from its home sign of Pisces, sextiling Venus, transiting the sign of Capricorn. Now it is absolutely true that Venus in Capricorn is very down to earth. It is love, it is everything that has to do with Venus, but in a very earthly manner. But Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. So whenever they converse in harmony, well, that can mean so very many good things. For example, in a down-to-earth expression, it can mean solidarity, compassion, help, empathy, understanding, kindness, charitable events, inspiration, faith, the truth and belief and faith within your heart, whatever you love, becoming a guiding light in your life. And let's not forget that Capricorn is the sign of manifestation, so it can manifest. Help can reach you, or good things can happen to you as long as you believe and as long as you wish this with all your heart. So Neptune sextiling Venus, it is all about heart energy. And, usually sometimes this can mean being lost in fantasy, being way too optimistic, having our heads in the clouds. But simultaneously, on the 24th of January, the sun meets Saturn in the sky, and whenever this conversation takes place, so it takes place once every year, it is a very powerful reality check. But the sign of Aquarius is our hopes and dreams. It is our future. It is our social connections. So this is the energy of truth, which can truly help us. It can show us exactly where we stand. And when this conversation took place last year, when Saturn was in Capricorn, well, that wasn't an easy energy because it showed us everything that we can not do, all the limitations, everything that is not available. But this is where in the sign of Aquarius, it is a different energy because it can actually highlight how to overcome the limitations, but that also requires us to face them, to acknowledge them, to be a little bit realistic. Because once we see the problem for what it is, we can also find solutions. And of course, there is that energy of urgency, because once the Sun conjuncts Saturn, it is going to square Mars and Uranus together. So this basically means time for brainstorming and, if possible, action. Or if action is not yet possible, well, at least to have some kind of future plans, a plan A, B, C. And the sextile Neptune and Venus hold together, it just helps because it gives us faith, it gives us optimism, it gives us dreams. It makes us believe that we can do it, that we are worth it, and that wherever mind cannot actually overcome matter, no problem, faith and the heart can. So there is always some kind of solution to every single problem. And finally, I must insist once again, even with the risk of sounding like a broken record, please focus on whatever it is important for you personally. Focus on the truth within your heart. Focus on your hopes and dreams, and don't give in to the conflict. Don't give in to the rage. Do not give in to the fear. And do not let all of those conspiracies and contradicting information lead you astray from your path, regardless of what that is. You are the master of your own reality, and you choose what you want to believe. And whatever you choose, you feed that. You make that happen. You make that real. Just let me give you the most simplest example in the world. Money is real because we make it real. If we wouldn't want it to be real, it's a piece of paper or plastic or just a combination of zero ones data, electronic information. It is our belief, it is our willpower that makes it real, and it makes it so very influential and strong. But without our belief, it's just a fantasy. It is just an illusion. It doesn't even exist. And you might say that, well, yes, but every single individual in the world believes in it, so of course it's real. But this is exactly why we are in different times. We are in the age of Aquarius, where yes, what the collective believes is a great strength and power in itself, and it does create reality, but Aquarius is also about the individual. So what you believe creates your own individual unique reality as well. And this is exactly how you use the power of Uranus, that what you believe matters the most in your life. So please, please believe in yourself, believe in your bright future, and don't let the external chaos drive you into despair, depression, rage, frustration, and ultimately to stray you from your path. Thank you so much for listening. Wish everyone a safe and blessed week. Until next time, bye for now.